Alright, what's up y'all, Takeover here. As you can see by the title of today's video, let's talk about the steal rating thresholds in NBA 2K22 Next Gen after the passing lane patch. So, we have a lot to talk about between interceptor, ball stripper, pickpocket, the three badges that are tied to the steal rating attribute, and what they're going to do for you in terms of the badge levels, what threshold you want to reach for after the Season 3 patch, and what is now in Season 4. So I hope y'all enjoy the video. If you do, for to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all the good stuff, and like always, tries 1,000 likes. Additionally, I also want to talk about how I think there has been a pickpocket or on-ball steal buff in this season. So while the video title might insist that you might want to go lower for your steal rating because the Hall of Fame interceptor doesn't feel as valuable as it once was, I'm here to talk about how the pickpocket buff kind of contradicts that, and you may even want an even higher steal rating to get the Hall of Fame pickpocket. But I do want to let you guys know, if you made a 6'9" glitched out metric or something like that that only gets a 90 steal rating, or you made a build that just gets 90 steal rating because you wanted to settle for it because you only made that for the Hall of Fame interceptor, I want to let you know you can still get on-ball steals very manageably. I made a video talking about perimeter badge drop takeover as well that is going crazy in this game. It drops people's unpluckable. I mean, you can go through the list of all the playmaking badges and shooting badges that it completely drops when you have it activated. Handless for days, hyperdrive, tight handles, unpluckable is the very key one. Quick first step, quick chain, it's going to make them dribble differently than they're used to as well. And then you have other things like blinders, mismatch expert, deadeye, the list goes on and on. Honestly, I think that perimeter badge drop takeover is going to be a really key thing in terms of getting on-ball steals in this game, and again, paired with having a really high steal rating, maybe Hall of Fame and pickpocket, the list is going to go on and on. So anyway, now that we've talked about kind of how I think you're going to see a little bit of a pickpocket buff, or obviously the nerf to interceptor, obviously we can just get out of the way. Ball stripper's not that comp of a badge in the first place. You rarely see people coming out here and doing true slasher stuff at all. I really feel like I'm the only person who I've seen in this game that literally just rim runs with no shooting ability at all and just goes in there for dunks. So honestly, I don't think ball stripper is that relevant. It's hard to really activate or use this badge on people who actually ISO and they can shoot the ball because you have to play them really high, and then you're not really in the position that you need to be able to activate this badge by trying to strip them from behind or something like that. It just doesn't work like that. So anyway, now that we've talked about all that in terms of the badge levels and whatnot, and we'll get more into the badge levels, I'm just here to kind of talk about, you know, the face of the value of the badges. Now that we've talked about that stuff though, I want to kind of strip it down and talk about maybe the baseline levels of what steal rating you should go for. So you can make a 7'3" max wingspan build and it's still going to get 60 steal rating right on the dot. I think you absolutely should have that as a baseline. I don't think you should ever go lower than 60 steal rating on a build. If you have less than 60, even on, like, if you made a guard with low steal rating because you overreacted to this patch and you think it's not even worth having interceptor in the first place or steal rating at all, then I think you are going to get targeted out here. If you have a small guard and you can't protect yourself with a couple passing lanes here and there, you're really just lost on defense if you ask me. Unless you're constantly trying to guard ball, which is a different story, but at that point, being smaller, it really is a little bit harder to do. But anyway, as far as the interceptor levels go, I do want to kind of vouch for the fact that if you have a build that has lower levels of interceptor, or if you don't believe in the badge being on the Hall of Fame level in the first place, you think it's a waste of your badge points, or you think you're not really budgeting in the right way to be doing that, I am here to tell you guys, I think bronze and silver have seen a really big buff. Me, myself, on two builds that I've used, the 7'3" and the 7-footer, that both have silver, I actually feel like I'm playing better passing lanes than what I did before patch. Now, on my 6'9" glitched metric build that has the 90 steal rating, it feels completely night and day different though, where I was going crazy pre-patch with the 90 steal rating and Hall of Fame interceptor, and now it feels almost at the same level as like silver with my other build. I almost don't even tell the difference, to be honest, when it comes to my 6'9" metric and the 7-footer. Now don't get me wrong, there's many variables when it comes to that stuff, and also I'm kind of underselling it to an extent. You can still get really glitchy passing lane animations. It's just more of like a 1 out of 10 thing instead of like a 7 out of 10 thing, where it's going to happen a whole lot more rarely in terms of people skipping passes past your head. And also, again, it feels like you're kind of restricted to realistic animations for the most part. You're not going to be jumping or anything like that, flying up to grab the ball. Don't get me wrong, I understand some people think that stuff is unrealistic. And real quick, this is going to be a short video, so I don't want to deter from the point of the video too much and lose a lot of you guys' interest, but I do want to kind of just bring this point to your kind of mentality, I'll say. So, if you want to draw comparisons between 2K and real life, it's already a video game versus real life, which is one thing that we are completely like discussing when most people talk about it. But first and foremost, this video game is played from a third-person perspective from almost 90 feet away from where your player actually is, and you can see all 10 players on the court at any given moment at every part of the game. You can't do that in real life. If you're guarding ball, you have to like swivel your head, look for the screen where it's coming from. There's got to be communication from your teammates. And pretty much what's relevant to this conversation in this aspect is if someone's sitting in the right corner and I'm sitting between the lane of him and where the guy is handling the ball on the left wing, I can absolutely look at the two players at the exact same time because it's a third person camera again, and I'm facing the ball handler like a real defender would. But again, I can tell exactly where the trajectory of that pass is going to be based on where the wing guy is and the corner guy. The game is never going to be realistic to real life unless this is first person locked and people actually have to have their head on a swivel. You have to like pay attention where everybody's at. Nobody just lurks phantom passing lanes because they don't know where off-ball players are spotted up at. So again, please stop with the real life comparisons. It'll never happen. If we're talking about the video game, I do think interceptor being good is kind of necessary to the defense being a good thing. I mean, defense is definitely struggling in this game when it comes to on-ball defense or interior defense or shot contest, whatever the case may be with a mismatch expert. There's all types of overpowered playmaking badges like tight handles, and again, the shooting badges like blinders, mismatch expert, deadeye. So again, I understand I did kind of deter from the point of the video, and this is going to be a little bit shorter, but I just wanted to go on this mini rant a little bit and talk about why there won't be realism in this video game in every aspect of it. But anyway, back to this conversation. Obviously, like I said, I think 60 is the bare minimum that you want to go for. I think Silver Interceptor, no matter what build you're on, is necessary still. I don't think you should abandon the badge entirely and just take it all the way down or to run it on Bronze or something like that. I think Silver is definitely still very doable. Your steal rating is also going to depend and still matter when it comes to you trying to get passing lanes. And again, to go for on-ball steals and on-ball plucks, I really do think you're going to need around 90 plus at least. I think there's a threshold that you get more steals at in the first place, as well as you get stunned less when you go for on-ball steals or passing lane attempts. So I definitely still think 90 is something you want to strive for. Now, again, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I think that 96 might be a new threshold that might be really nice to reach in terms of giving you the Hall of Fame pickpocket. You get an elite ability at getting on-ball steals. Now, Mike Wang also mentioned that the steal thresholds at the beginning of the year when things were going crazy was that they move in thresholds of like 99 to 90 to 80 to 70 and stuff like that. So again, with all things considered, when it comes to settling for 86 just for gold pickpocket like I did on a couple of my builds and not getting the Hall of Fame interceptor, I don't think it's worth, and I don't think you should just do that out of spite of not really wanting the Hall of Fame interceptor. I think having 90 steal rating is still very good in terms of stopping you from getting stunned as much when it comes to on-ball steal attempts or for passing lanes, whatever the case may be. Now again, to kind of backtrack to the whole 96 conversation, you pair Hall of Fame pickpocket with Hall of Fame menace and to run perimeter badge drop takeover as well. I'm not gonna lie, bro, things will get glitchy. Things will get really crazy when it comes to getting on-ball steals. And on top of that too, you have other takeover perks that can actually drop attribute ratings as well. Or on top of that too, the Sabador takeover that I've been really vouching for in terms of actually being really good for lockdown spots as well, actually drops their takeover progress or makes them more cold as well, or just cold quicker. So honestly, when you have all things considered of takeover perks, takeover, steal rating, actual pickpocket, badge level and stuff like that too, it really looks like on-ball steals are back. So if you're able to get 96 on a lock build, I think it might actually be really elite and is actually maybe worth it. But at the same time, you still have things like bump steals where you don't even need steal rating at all to be able to get it. So again, the title of this video is to talk about the steal thresholds, so we're going to more so stick to that, but I did want to kind of talk to you guys about how things like bump steals are still a thing that you don't need steal rating for, maybe the takeover and takeover perks, stuff like that as well. So anyway, we'll go back to the title of the video now for the rest of the vid and just talk about the thresholds alone. Alright, so some of this stuff I may have already alluded to in the video, but like I said, we just kind of want to strip it down and start from the bare minimum and talk about the thresholds that you should reach in terms of steal ratings. So again, 60 steal rating, absolute bare minimum. You can get on every single build as long as you're a 7'3" with max wingspan or anything like smaller than that in terms of height or anything like that. Now, when we talk about the jump between 60 to 90, this is where things get a little bit cloudy because we've already talked about 90 being really elite for the stuns, not getting stunned on-ball steal attempts or passing lane attempts, and again, gives you the Hall of Fame interceptor, or when it comes to on-ball steal rating as well, what you want to shoot for. So in terms of the next jump, I think what you're going to want to shoot for is around 80. I'm going to explain why. So when you go to 70, between going from 60 to 70, you don't really gain anything as far as badges go. Again, same thing for 75. I don't think the pickpocket badge going up a level from like 70 to 75, or as you can see, you gain it at 72. I don't think that matters really. I don't think you can really viably go for on-ball steals and plucks and stuff like that if you have this low of a steal rating regardless. So the next threshold that's even worth it is probably 78 for the gold interceptor. But like I said, with 80, we're moving in those thresholds that Mike Wang was talking about, where if you go from 99 to 90 to 80 to 70 and stuff like that. this is where the next one is where you'll see, and on top of that too, we gain the interceptor at 1 badge level cheaper for silver and gold. So again, for the next jump from 60, I'm going to go ahead and just say skip 70 entirely. And if you can get it to 80, go for it. But if you can get the gold interceptor at 78, it's understandable. If you can't get 80, it is what it is. Now, the next jump in terms of the next threshold, in my opinion, is probably 86. And that's just for pickpocket on gold. But I don't think this is worth it. Don't take that 86 number and take it too much to heart, because again, you probably want the 90 steal rating, because again, we're moving in those thresholds and those increments of 10s, aka going from 80 to 90 to 99. And I think that 90 is where you're going to see an even more increase in terms of how many on-ball plucks you can even get. And then on top of that too, once again, to have the Hall of Fame interceptor, it's just worth still being there as a threat and as something that is still in your back pocket. Maybe we'll still even learn how to play better passing lanes. So again, just to backtrack in case anybody missed this, the thresholds that I'm talking about, I think 60, 80, and then 90 are pretty much the nice thresholds that you want to be able to reach on whatever build pertains to what you're talking about here. So if you're debating making like a 7-footer instead of the 6'9" metric, this is where we're going to also kind of talk about how I think those 7-footers see a lot more viability than the 6'9" metrics do. I don't think you should strip down like everything about your build when it comes to interior defense, screen setting, shot blocking, rebounding, all types of stuff like that, just to literally have Hall of Fame interceptor. And when you compare it to the 7-footer, the only thing that you lose on it is pretty much just clamps. I mean, honestly, its interior defense is crazy. Its chase down ability is still there. You can still stay in front of people too. You do lose ankle braces as well. So honestly, it's kind of the yin and yang. You have to take some good with some bad, and whether you want the 6'9" or not, it's up to you. Honestly, I'm just here to give you some of the idea for what threshold you should be targeting. And then now above 90 is where we talk about the on-ball steal thresholds. So we have a couple ones to talk about right here. I think there's a lot of cloudy, like not worth it area when you talk about from 90 to 95. Nothing really worth it. You can see you don't really gain any like badge points or anything like that. In terms of the cost of it, it does change. As you can see, if you go to 95, it makes interceptor cheaper. From 90 to 95, you don't really see any change in pickpocket cost or anything like that. But again, if you want to go like 95, sure, go for an interceptor on a cheaper level. But at that point, I think 96 is the threshold we're going to talk about, where you get pickpocket on Hall of Fame and the interceptor is a badge point cheaper. So 96 is going to give you, like I said, Hall of Fame pickpocket. You pair this with all types of crazy takeovers and takeover perks and stuff like that. But now here's where we're going to make this kind of complicated on you. So at 98, pickpocket becomes a badge level cheaper in terms of the gold becomes 3 instead of 4, the Hall of Fame becomes 5 instead of 6. But then at that point, you're already this far. Go 99. You may as well do it. And for the threshold of what Mike Wang was talking about, 99 steal rating is just 99 steal rating. It is what it is. It's the best you could ever get for on-ball steals. It makes sense to do. And honestly, it's probably going to improve your passing lanes even at that. The higher the steal rating, the more it makes sense for that to happen. But once again, we're here to talk about budgets and just kind of all types of stuff like that with the thresholds. So I understand not everybody's build can even achieve 99 steal rating. And even at that, some people probably don't even find it worth it to put it on their build. So again, I think a really good baseline to hit is going to be 90. If you have less than that or less ability to do it than that, I think 80 is going to be a good area for you to be able to hit. And anything less than that, honestly, I would probably say just go down to 60. But realistically, your steal rating can never be too high. I mean, at the end of the day, if you could just have every attribute on 99, it'd be a perfect world, obviously. P.S. It wouldn't be, but honestly, if you could just put your steal ratings to 99, it wouldn't even matter. Then we wouldn't even be here discussing this video. You would just do it. But again, we're here to talk about budget. So again, I really do think the baseline thresholds you want to reach, 60, 80, and then 90, and then boom, you're going to be talking about like 96 or 99. That's how I feel. That's how I feel you should go about it. And if you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all the good stuff. Like always, try to 1,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, either put steal or 90 or 99 or whatever steal rating you want to just mention in the comments, just to show your support made all the way through the end of the video. But again, I hope you guys appreciate these types of videos in terms of trying to just give my insight in terms of how I think the gameplay is going to work. I really do think the pickpocket and like on-ball pluck steals are back. I think you're going to see them tenfold when people actually start to come out here with things like Hall of Fame pickpocket, or to come out here with different crazy takeovers like the perimeter badge drop and all types of stuff like that. And passing lanes aren't entirely dead, but they're not very like, they're not the aggressor anymore. You don't make plays on defense. You're just kind of reactionary, and you just make them when the opportunity is there. So anyway, that's all for video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And like I said, if you want to leave any feedback in the comments, let me know what you guys' thoughts are or anything like that. Feel free to let me know. I do also quickly before we go want to talk about how a couple perimeter defense badges are kind of tied to playing good steal defense. So again, things like Hustler are very important. Where you're going to see more tip passes instead of actual interceptions, you're going to have to get after the ball very quickly. As well as on those pluck steals, if you jostle the ball loose, you still have to get them. Obviously, you have to track it down. So that is what it is. Also with Menace, for going for the pluck steals, you're going to be dropping their attributes as well. So you have perimeter badge drop that's going to be dropping their unpluckable and all types of stuff like that with the crazy playmaking badges. And then you're going to be dropping their attributes as well with Menace being high. So honestly, Menace and Hustler definitely slept on in terms of helping you get steals and helping you get the ball, even though it's tied to perimeter defense rather than steal rating. And then things like Clamps are going to get you body bumps and stuff like that are going to chuck people a little bit. I will say, I think Clamps low-key got a little bit of a buff, phantom buff. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to test that a little bit more. But either way, the bumps are going to get you more bump steals as well. Like where you body them up, it's going to put them in bad situations where they can't control the player. And then boom, you can just tap your X button while you're on the side of them. Clamps doesn't really help you get on ball like pluck steals if you ask me, but it kind of does still play a factor, I guess, a little bit. You just have to be more vertical with them and more lined up with their body. But anyway, that's all for video. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, if you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. Like I said, feel free to leave your feedback as well. Let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed. Take these, man. Peace.